Welcome to part 4.5 of the GU-TFT tutorial series. Our goal for this video is to recall the images that were stored on the GU-TFT module in part 3 using an Arduino Pro. We will do this in 3 steps. We will wire up the Arduino Pro to the GU-TFT unit. We will write the recall program on the Arduino IDE using the built-in libraries, and we will download and run the code on the Arduino Pro to recall the images. Now for this tutorial, we will need the current Arduino IDE, we will need an Arduino Pro, a GU-TFT from Noritake, this FTDI cable to program the Arduino Pro, a wiring kit to wire up the Arduino Pro to the GU-TFT, a 5-volt external power source for the GU-TFT, as well as a 3.3 volt external power source for the Arduino Pro. So once you verify that you have all the required materials for this tutorial, you're ready to connect your Arduino Pro to your TFT. Now the GU-TFT has 3 interfaces: SPI, I2C, and UART. For SPI, starting with the Arduino Pro, you want to connect pin 13 or S clock to pin 2, pin 12 Meso to pin 6, pin 11 MOSI to pin 3, pin 7 chip select to pin 5, pin 6 D-ready to pin 4. For I2C, you want to connect A4 or serial data to pin 3 and A5 serial clock to pin 2. And also, if your communication length is short, you don't need to use external pull-up resistors, as the GU-TFT has internal pull-up resistors. For UART, which is the interface we'll be using in this tutorial, pin 11 or transmit will be connected to pin 3, and pin 10 receive will be connected to pin 6. Once your Arduino Pro has been connected to your GU-TFT to use the UART interface, make sure that you have 5 volts of power going into the TFT, 3.3 volts of power going into the Arduino, and the FTDI cable plugged into the Arduino and into your PC with the 5 volt power line cut. Now to use the FTDI cable, you'll need to install a driver from the FTDI website. The link for that driver and installation guide are both in the description below. Now once that's installed and you're ready to go, let's open up Arduino. The first thing we're going to do is configure the Arduino IDE for your Arduino Pro. Now I'm going to go over to Tools and select our board as an Arduino Pro, which I already have selected. You want to select the processor, which is Atmega 328, 3.3 volt, and 8 megahertz. There are different iterations of the Pro, so make sure you're doing the right one. This tutorial is focused on the 3.3 volt version, so we don't have to do any level shifting. And you also want to specify your port. I was able to find my port by looking at my device manager and finding the serial port. So now that your Arduino IDE has been configured for your Arduino Pro, we can start programming the recall function. So first thing is to include software serial.h and also creating an instance of software serial called mySerial while putting in pins 10, 11 for RX and TX respectively. We can go down and create the GU-TFT init function that will send hex 1b and hex 40 to the TFT to initialize it. We can go down and create the recall image function that writes the recall image command to the TFT. Now, while referencing the downloaded bit image display from the GU-TFT software spec on page 45, you can see in the code area that you want to send 1F, 28, 66, and 10 all as bytes, and then send memory, the address, add the extension address, defined X, display Y, and format. And we can go up to setup once that function is written and write mySerial.begin and put the baud rate of 38.4K in, and also write GU-TFT in it. Go down to loop and write the recall image function, and in the parameters we want to put hex 10 for memory because we're coming from the FRM2 base address of all zeros. We want to write hex 0000 because with the address structure as shown here, and for the extension address, it's 0x00 for the first image. For defined x, we want to write 800 because this image is 800 pixels wide and we want to see the entire thing. For display x, we'll write 800 because it's 800 pixels wide. And for display y, we'll write 480 because it's 480 pixels high. And for format, we'll write hex 91 because the format of the saved image is a 16-bit high-speed image. We will write a delay of 5000 to insert a 5-second delay. Copy and paste these two lines twice and change the extension address in each recall image to 0C for the second image and 18 for the third image. So now you can save your project. Mine's already been saved. I've named it recall image. We need to verify the program. You've written everything right. Say done compiling. So now make sure that your Arduino Pro is connected to your computer and also has 3.3 volts of power going into it. And make sure your GU-TFT is connected to the Pro with 5 volts of power going into it. And let's hit upload to upload this program to your Arduino Pro. It says done uploading. It should pop up the first image, the second image, and after 5 seconds, third image. And it'll keep rotating between these three images with a 5-second delay in between each image, which is exactly what we have in this loop. The big purpose of this recall image function is to offload the image responsibility to the GU-TFT as opposed to the microcontroller. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for part 5.